the first phase, we concentrate on the preparation of the clay. The clay will be mixed with grit, lead, tin, and metal oxides to produce black and white clay. Then each clay will be crushed and sifted to clean from any impurity. It is important to emphasize that in the traditional process, the clay is left to rest in tanks with water for at least 2 months. Finally, the clay has to go through a kneading process, placing the clay on a brick floor and walking on top of it. The second part of the workshop will be focused on the formative process. There will be 2 options, since it can be turned or molded. In the first case, the clay is placed on the wheel, a rotating table driven by the person's feet, while he molds the clay with his moistened fingers. In the second case, the clay is evenly poured into plastered molds and allowed to dry. It should be emphasized that in the traditional process, the piece is allowed to dry for 6 months. It is cooked at 800 degrees for 8 hours and the alarca is applied. Finally, there is the decoration phase. Minerals are used to prepare the colors and the decoration technique is chosen. Can be with freehand brush or with the technique of feathering and smudging, which it is a kind of template used for pieces with a repeated pattern. To end the workshop, the piece is left to dry. It is important to emphasize that in the traditional process, it must be cooked a second time at 1000 degrees for 10 hours.
La verdad no, jamás había escuchado de ella. Son una manera muy interesante de poder introducirte a nuevo contenido y nuevo material histórico, de cómo funcionaban varias cosas y cómo poder hacerlas. Sí, hace ya varios años. Fue muy divertido poder moldear algo con mis propias manos y poder utilizarlo en la vida real.
Culture is the acquired knowledge people use to interpret experience and generate behavior. It generally refers to the patterns of human activity and symbolic structures that give such activity significance and importance. This project helps to conserve and promote our national culture because, as we can see in the interview, the national Talavera is not well recognized at the national level, or at least in the north is not a very common theme. National identity is a social conscience that gives a sense of equivalence and belonging to the individual and their community with the national state. This project promotes it because as people know better the cultural heritage of the country, they will see it with admiration, respect, and will make them feel proud of being Mexicans. We know that cultural heritage is a determined set of tangible, intangible, and natural goods that are part of social practices to which values are attributed to transmitted and then resignified from one era to another, or from one generation to the next one. It is important to promote dissemination projects like this in order to continue with our legacy, cultural heritage, and traditions.